Hello, everyone. I'm Mr. E.
And I'm Molten Mortimer the Authenticator, and we are the Duality of Man, and it is time once again to review what is best in life. To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and in this case, hear the lamentations of the shrewish HR women.
Yeah, because right now a lot of the federal workers that Trump and Elon Musk have gotten rid of are at are currently protesting in in Capitol Hill in the Senate. I believe there's thousands of them, and if they're spending their time, whining about losing their jobs, they could have just as easily spent their time looking for another job. So it's like
But
you
that
are
would
not only
imply they
useless
have
to work, you're
competence
useless in
and
life as
skill
well.
to get another job without bureaucratic leverage, and the whole reason this happened in the first place is because they don't have those.
Yeah. And the fact that our government still appears to be running fine without all these people just shows that they weren't really all that necessary. I'm pretty sure most people in government aren't necessary.
fuck fuck running fine. In several ways it's running better, and that in and of itself is an indictment. Like, I saw a thing on Facebook just now of some of it was one of those question posts, and the question was, um what does America do better than anyone else? And a bunch of people were coping and seething, going, well, right now, nothing, because the government may have. Meanwhile, the people who actually voted for such government are quite pleased with what's going on, because for the first time in quite literally forever, the people who got into office are actually attempting to do the things they promised they would do upon getting into office, and doing so at a relatively expedient pace, wouldn't you know?
Yeah, I mean, and there is something that this government does better than, any other country, and that's waste our money more than I ever thought possible. Like I thought I knew how much the government wasted, but like that was only like the tip of the iceberg, a very deep iceberg.
I mean, to the point that we, as in the American government, ostensibly, are literally funding the bureaucratic waste and incompetence of other fucking countries. Cough, cough, BBC, cough. Cough, cough. Um, Sesame Street programs in fucking Saudi Arabia and shite. Which, even if a certain amount of bureaucratic bloat is inevitable because government, surely that bureaucratic bloat should be restricted to the government of the place to which we are referring. And thus, there is no earthly reason why America, that thing that seceded from Britain several centuries ago, mind you, should be funding the needy fucking sea of all things.
So I'm honestly thinking that the reason why these guys are busy protesting instead of out looking for another job is because they are so fundamentally fucking useless. And if they actually got a job where they were required to produce actual results, they'd be fired in like 2 weeks.
Well, it's useless implies some level of neutrality. A lot of these people, quite literally, see it as their job to subvert and co opt institutions, TM, and therefore are a drain on civilizations that attach themselves to them.
Yeah, and you can really see that during the course of the Biden administration that thankfully we managed to vote out. Because did you hear about the IRS story?
I it Again, the news cycle has been moving quite quickly. Which of the IRS stories are we referring
So
to in this
there was
instance?
a worker. So during the Biden administration, an IRS worker um, reportedly leaked 70,000 individuals' tax returns. Now, before you say anything, Dalton, hold because there's more to this.
Oh dear.
Okay, so it was reported that 70,000 tax returns were leaked. The actual number was north of 400,000.
400,000 American citizens had their tax returns leaked by the IRS.
Yes, and they told us that it was only 70,000.
I am reminded of a very famous meme from Batman the Animated Series, wherein the Joker said, and I quote, "I'm crazy enough to take on Batman, but the IRS, no thank you."
It's like the people try to say that, oh, like everything was fine during the Biden administration. But no, it was shit. It's more shit than we ever thought possible. Like I swear to God, every week, like more shit comes out about how awful it was. Like literally, no one was in charge. I assume that everybody working there was just running around like fools, like chickens with their heads cut off.
Well, and this is the thing. It's not even that anything in the Biden administration itself was particularly egregious or anything. It's just that the Biden administration is what governments and institutions look like when they are left literally to their own devices and nothing but normative institutional bureaucracy is what is happening.
Yeah, to put it like my grandfather used to say, it's a small piece of shit, but when you stack shit that fucking high, it looks like a mountain.
That's a great phrase. I'm going to have to use that at some point.
But yeah, so there are other stories about government incompetence. This one is a bit funnier. Do you remember Eric Swalwell?
The name is familiar. I don't remember where I know it from.
He was the Democrat. I believe he was a senator who was caught previously screwing a Chinese spy.
So, in other words, he got honey trapped.
Yes, like an idiot. And for some reason, he still has his national security clearances.
Okay, I'm not entirely just saying this to be funny, but this is the kind of plot that literally happens in absurdist sitcoms like The Big Bang Theory. There was literally an episode where Leonard's previous girlfriend, Joyce Kim, was a fucking agent for North Korea trying to milk him for racketeering secrets.
Yeah, so this guy is a massive fucking idiot. Not only that, but like his Senate takes are also extremely bad. But like something happened, I believe, yesterday or the day before, that just his political career should be rightfully over after this. All right, so there was this guy in a bar, the same bar as Eric Swalwell, and Eric Swalwell was drunk and he was speaking so loud that the guy was able to record him on his phone. And so Swalwell was caught like like in audio talking about the wildest stuff going on Capitol Hill, like orgy parties going on Capitol Hill, how he cheats on his wife, how he was asking, I believe, lobbyists to help him cheat on his wife, how
I,
like he used his power as a senator to get Ivanka Trump to testify in front of the Senate for no other reason than he thought she was hot.
so, in other words, he was literally the kind of evil that normally only occurs in Hollywood movies.
Yeah, the man is. He's not only evil, he's perverted and fucking dumb.
Which, again, I must point out, is typically the province only of cartoon villains. Like, this is some, like, Dr. Doofenshmirtz level incompetence here. This is putting the self-destruct button on the innator levels of, oh my god, I can't believe you're this dumb.
Yeah, yeah. So this has been making the rounds, and his political career should be over from this. Like, he is not only an embarrassment to his constituency, but like, how can you trust this person to be in government?
It's
Like, to be
it's not
fair, with
even
the
just
things that he said, you shouldn't trust any of them.
it's not even just his political career. He admitted in public and in a recorded medium to cheating on his wife. So good luck with that. At best, you will be like banished to the realm of the couch for the foreseeable future. At worst, you probably deserve quite a lot worse than that. Like I know we as men's rights advocates and everything are in the habit of reminding people that men are human too, but I'm sorry. This is a situation where you literally, I think, probably should have your man card revoked. Like
Yeah,
this is the kind of evil stupidity that makes the rest of us look bad. Like this is the kind of like Epstein levels of fuckery and Weinstein levels of fuckery that the intersectional feminist bigots will use to paint all the rest of us men with. So yeah, we should throw him to the wolves for the good of the cause, if nothing else at this point. But God damn it.
yeah, look, for the good of the country, this guy needs to fucking go. And interestingly enough, I heard the Chinese spy that he slept with actually died in a plane crash. And given her line of work, I don't know if she died by accident or if she was just eliminated.
Well, considering how publicly she was caught, I wonder what was it the American government going, we have to tie up this loose end to like maintain some level of credibility, or was it the Chinese going, shit, they caught us, get rid of the evidence?
It honestly could be either one. But
And of course there's the why not both option. Because
yeah.
Lord knows that's always feasible.
But speaking of American intelligence, do you want to talk about what's happening there? Did you know?
I know a few things. Which world-shattering story are we going on about this particular moment? Because there's a lot of them. Uh,
Did you hear about their chat logs?
oh God, I know we all, those of us that make our mark on the internet, live in fear of the day our chats get leaked. But this just goes to prove that despite what a certain Canadian thinks, the the magic of working for an armed institution doesn't make you some infallible, hyper competent twat.
Yeah. So the chat log I'm speaking of is that apparently members of the NSA and almost certainly other government agencies had a secret chat log on, I believe, government servers, which they talked about the benefits of transgenderism and also some of the most disgusting, like sexual, like kink talk you could imagine. Like they were using this pace as uh, like I forget what the name is called, but a friend of mine who's into that stuff had previously told me that there was this site where people like post their fetishes and then hook up. I forget what the hell he called it, but whatever it is, it's basically the private intelligence agency version of that, and it's fucking disgusting.
And the sad thing is, even though all of this is as jarring as it is, this is still nothing new because this brings to mind the Hillary Clinton email server that we were all just sort of supposed to get over as soon as it happened. Like
Would,
the
would you like to
the
would you like to
the
hear
only
some of
di-
the NSA?
the only difference between what's going on now and what went on with Hillary Clinton's emails is Elon and company are actually acting upon the information they're given instead of just going, well, they're a member of a normative institution, they can do what they like over and over again.
Would you like to? I have the NSA chat logs here, but I'm wary to read them aloud on YouTube.
Uh, well, and that in and of itself is somewhat telling. We even so much as mention half the words that are in those chat logs, and this channel gets nuked off of YouTube, and we probably get debanked. These people work for the highest fucking cloak and dagger echelons of the government, and they can do it on a government server, and everyone is just supposed to go whistle, nothing to see here. What in the actual fuck?
All right, so I'll read one or two of the tamer ones. Now,
Okay.
all right, so this is I don't know who it is because their names are redacted, which could stop them from illuminating us. But this is from the DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency.
Oh god.
Uh, I mean, and I quote, I mean, honestly, the rest is nice too. Wearing panties without worrying about anything showing, seeing my reflection in the mirror, wearing leggings, etc. But the pee thing is something I never thought of, but it's really nice.
So golden showers then.
I don't know exactly what they're referring to, and I really don't want to.
Being as I've been around the block of the internet a couple of times or two, I think they're talking about golden showers, but I could be mistaken.
Yeah, so see, we have some people on here talking about their gender reassignment surgery and how they now like to be penetrated.
It occurs to me that if you like being penetrated that much, you would have liked being penetrated just as much with your schlong. This sounds to me like someone who doesn't want to admit they're gay being able to like passive aggressively admit it by virtue of transition. I'm
Yeah,
not saying that therefore all trans people or anything like that, but I'm just saying if you're protesting that much about how much you like being penetrated now that you no longer have a schlong, I suspect you might just be coping with the fact that you've liked it all along and not been able to like own up to yourself there.
yeah. So, no, please tell me why someone in the NSA is talking about wearing fairly tiny, skin tight exercise shorts at a party on Saturday night.
Because literally everyone never grows out of high school, apparently. Like literally.
If these are the people that are supposed to be keeping us safe, it's no wonder that we had so many terrorists sneaking across the border.
Well, and if these are the people populating those much vaunted normative institutions, Dev, can you see why I'm in favor of populism and against bureaucracy?
Yeah. So, here's another thing from the DIA, possibly from the same person. I don't know, but it says also one of the weirdest things that gives me euphoria is when I pee. I don't have to push anything down to make sure it aims right. So I think they're talking about their gender reassignment surgery
Right.
and no
The
longer having
the the
a penis.
aforementioned deslonging.
Yeah. God, these people are so fucking weird.
And
And
and while we're here, we are after all a men's rights podcast, and so I must ask, or I must point out, this sounds a lot like a bunch of self-hating men doing everything they can to disavow their own masculinity.
yeah, absolutely. Like you are in one of the jobs where masculinity should be like one of the greatest
Cardinal
factors. Like
virtues.
yeah, like defense and intelligence. Like you're supposed to be protecting the nation, and you're out here talking like a bunch of girls in high school with like severe gender dysphoria.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of the men must be the provider and protector trope because again I find that dehumanizing and utilitarianizing toward most men. But
We are undeniably better at it.
but that being as it may, um, if I had any regard for the protector provider role, this is the quintessential like actualization of that role, or in theory, at least, it should be. This is the job you get when you want to be the ultimate protector and provider, surely. And yet, they're sitting around disavowing their masculinity to the point of literally cutting their slogs off surgically.
I don't think they want to protect and defend, though. I think they just want power that they can wield against the people they view as their enemies.
I it it's hard to even go that straightforward with them because I don't when you're this far down the literal degeneracy rabbit hole, do you even know what you want? Especially because, as we've seen even in these couple messages, they seem to viscerally hate themselves and not want to admit to what they want. Which,
They also
sorry, go ahead.
they also appear to be just like consumed with like sex and weird perversions. Like it's like literally the thing that like define them. It's like the people who make the fact that they're sexually active their entire fucking personality trait.
And again, it's not that you have these fetishes that is the problem. It's that one, a lot of these fetishes seem to again be rooted in a form of self-flagellation and self-hatred, which is not psychologically healthy no matter what that mentality is leading to. And two, um, you seem to not want to own up to it. And to 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 quote the great Karen Strawn, own your shit, please. Because that's the thing. The people who own their shit and actually are willing to embrace who and what they are the least dangerous people you ever could possibly meet. But the people who will swear up and down how moral and upstanding and great and normal they are, all the while behind apparent closed doors, flagellating themselves in a way that even the fucking medieval flagellist would find extreme, that is a sign not of moral degradation, but of simply how can you possibly hope to ever be happy or self-actualized if you hate yourself and want to escape from yourself in as strident terms as possible? Like even aside from all the moral woo, the the fact that you hate yourself makes you a qualitatively undesirable person. And in my experience, most of the time, moral degeneracy proceeds from qualitative degeneracy first, i.e.,
It's,
the people who can own their shit and their weird fetishes tend to be a lot more sane and healthy with them than the people who get into weird fetishes specifically to avoid themselves and shun themselves and shame themselves.
also, there's a time and fucking place, and on government equipment during work hours is not fucking one of them. I have another post here. Just this just goes to show how obsessed they are with their fucking sexuality. It's ridiculous. One of the commenters, I just had a friend of mine get me as a suggestion by the Twitter algorithm because of my post with advice about ride and mass shooter survival. And I think it's criminal that it wasn't for my tits because they're fantastic. And then somebody else replies, how would Twitter know about your tits? And I hope you're willing to back up that statement. Like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck is wrong with these people?
Like, guys, get a brothel. Like you're some of the most powerful and well-paid people in the country. Are you telling me that there is no access to prostitutes in your most lofty and vaunted and normatively institutional positions, my sweet motherfuckers? Like why are you sitting here? Why are you sitting here in a digital sewing circle, like bitching like HR matrons when you of all people could literally make a call and get any prostitute you wished to fulfill your deepest, darkest desires, a la a Weinstein or an Epstein? Because again, the moral degeneracy here doesn't bother me nearly as much as the sheer rank incompetence and self-loathing on display. Because again, people who own their shit, people who are willing to accept who they are and what they like, tend to be a lot more sane and stable. That's why you don't have to worry about the person who's just happily being gay and doing whatever they want with their lives as much as you do the person who constantly talks about fag dragging, for example.
Yeah, like these people appear to just have no self control. Like I've seen drunken college parties where people were more chaste and self and demure and self controlled than this. It's like I struggle to believe that these were written by fully functional fucking adults.
And the like hyper feminine incompetence too is annoying because like I can at least respect someone who is getting away with some immoral shit, but is at least competently like hiding their hiding their shit. Like you're telling me that the people who work for the Defense Intelligence Agency don't know how to fucking clear their browser histories or their chat logs. You you're telling me that the people who I'm supposed to expect are capable of hunting down cyber terrorists don't know how to clean a trail better than your average 4chan user in the online space.
You know how trans people online constantly go on about dehumanizing language?
Yeah, huh?
Well, here's another one. I have a friend who went from they them to it's, and it took me quite a while to feel at all comfortable when I used its pronouns. It is something you use for a freaking object, and you're complaining about dehumanization when somebody says you're not a woman.
I oh, and I have to ask the question: how in the fuck did people this like kiwi farms level degeneracy here? Um, how the fuck did they get to the position of working for one of the most central and like cloak and daggerish like espionage laden bureaus of the government? Like, because if this was some random YouTuber whose chats got leaked, it would almost just be like, oh, like some like Destiny got his chat leaked, and this is just another day in the life of Destiny. But these people are the people who we're supposed to regard as the freaking fucking Men in Black, for God's sake. Like these are the people who are supposed to be the United States answer to James Bond, and even Destiny would find a lot of this shit over the top and extreme.
We really had no idea how anything, and all these chat logs are coming out from the years of the Biden administration, like 2022, 2023. Like we had no idea how much we were fucking compromised.
And again, speaking as a men's rights advocate, like this is the most like HR hag fucking hyper femininity bullshit I have ever seen in my life. And these are supposed to be the quintessential manly men that are working for one of the shadowiest, most spooky levels of the government. This is why I don't believe in conspiracy theories. By the way, it's because all the people who are allegedly getting away with all the conspiracy theory bullshit are this level of high school mean girls in the body of 45-year-old men for some reason.
Remember when it was a conspiracy theory that politicians engaged in weird secret orgiastic sex parties?
I mean, no one with a brain ever thought that was weird or thought that was unusual for the government. Like, like
I
we
know,
all knew it was happening.
I know, like there were people who used to say that it was just like right wing propaganda, or it's
Oh,
just
you're just being a conspiracy theorist. Nobody ever engages in orgies. Meanwhile, they themselves are probably knee deep in someone's throat. But oh well.
yeah. I have another comment here. It says, "Hi, it's user here. While I understand we can make some people uncomfortable, keep in mind that the dehumanizing aspect either A doesn't apply, or B is a positive effect when requested." So it's like, again, like it's like they're getting off on it, whatever like you use the things that they request, because there has been revealed like people who are trans who basically use that to get off, basically like asking people to use their pronouns, and they get off
Yeah,
on it.
the like power and authority fixation over it and so on. And again, hashtag not all trans people. There are trans people who, upon hearing any of this, would just sit with their heads in their hands, going, "Oh my god, I can't." can't believe this. This is why we can't have nice things. And I know that because I'm fucking gay, and this kind of shit always makes me go, oh my god, this is why we can't have nice things. Because again, those of us that have the capacity to own up to our shit are not the people you have to worry about. It's people like this who either make it some ideological purity spiral or hate themselves so much that they literally will get into this degenerate fetish shit so as to escape from themselves.
Yeah, but there is some good news regarding these, and that would be that Tulsi has fired them all and stripped them of their security clearance.
Oh. Like, I fully expect that the next two administrations will be JD Vance's administrations. But one, JD, for the love of all that is holy, make this woman your running mate for those two administrations. And furthermore, after JD Vance has had his two administrations and they have run in their natural course, we need to elect Tulsi.
Yeah, Tulsi's really great, and I'm so glad that she fired these people expeditiously because she fired them like damn near immediately when they came out. Because obviously the versions that are leaked on Twitter have the names of people redacted, but obviously the version that she has access to, the names are clearly visible. As you know, it's still
I
fire.
I've been a fan of Tulsi for a very, very long time, and it is worth noting, by the way, institutionalist Democrats, that if you had had the good sense to do what your voter base wanted in 2020 or 2020 or 2024, um, you could still have a Tulsi in your ranks. Like it, I've said this before and I will say it again. If the most recent election cycle was Donald Trump versus Tulsi, it may not have changed ultimately, but it at least would have been a much closer and more worthwhile fight to have in the fucking first place than the soulless corporate establishment suit versus the populist libertarian.
Yeah, and if Tulsi had won instead of Biden, we wouldn't have had to suffer through 4 years of a decrepit old man and a woman who can't talk in coherent sentences.
Especially imagine if like Tulsi and Yang were running mates. I would vote for that with my I would vote for that with fucking bells on. But no, because the establishment has declared first that it was Hillary instead of Bernie, and then that it was literally anyone um, except Biden and Kamala could go fuck themselves, and then third that we weren't even going to have a fucking primary this time. Um, because of that, now we're in the midst of a Trump presidency. Now I can acknowledge that that's not necessarily a bad thing because he's still a populist libertarian, broadly speaking, 90s business Democrat. But for all of y'all that think he's a fascist, which he isn't, but that's baby steps, um, for all of y'all that think he's a fascist, you realize you have no one else to blame than the people who your institution decided to shove down your throat.
Yeah, like
Because, sorry, go ahead.
no, you were talking. You
Um, be, because no matter how evil you think Trump is, you must now come to the conclusion that a lot of us came to several election cycles ago. You know, that's with brain cells. That no matter how evil you think Trump is, the institutions and bureaucracies are regarded worse. People dislike you, oh vaunted mainstream normative institutionalists, more than they dislike Trump.
yeah
That is why you keep losing. It's not even necessarily that Trump is so likable, although he is much more likable than pretty much any other politician at the moment. It's that you are so severely unlikable that we will literally choose anyone but you, just to prove to you that you have no authority over us and your moral high ground is non-existent.
yeah. Like they have four. Like they go on and on about Trump. They had 4 years to prove that they were better than him, and they freaking embarrassed themselves. And we're still discovering just how deeply embarrassing they really are.
And mind you, the people who have gone he's a fascist for the last 8 years are these very same people. The people who claim that you are immoral if you think that a 90s style libertarian populist business democrat is preferable to a soulless corporate establishment shill are the same people who, on the privacy of a government fucking server, are going on about how they feel better now that their dicks have been surgically removed.
So, do you want to talk about another whiny, pathetic, crying loser?
In the immortal words of the Batman Beyond meme, do you have any idea how little that narrows it down?
This one makes me particularly happy. We're going to talk about how MSNBC fired Joy Reid.
Justice.
You have no idea how much I've been looking forward to this. Like, the woman, I despise her. She's an embarrassment to the entire race. And it affects me personally because my mother would listen to Joy Reid, and I just yeah, hated that woman for just spilling that fucking ridiculous, idiotic bile into my mother's ears.
Yeah, I sometimes worry about my own mother when she spouts a like mainstream media opinion. I'm just like trying to explain to her why she's wrong without getting angry, and it doesn't work because she doesn't understand what I'm trying to say. Oh dear.
Yeah, I once had a talk with my mom about some politics things, and basically, I was just saying that Trump wasn't as bad as people were making him out to be, and she lost it. And I was like, yeah, my mom's usually a very reasonable person. Like, where's all this Trump derangement in them coming from? And then one day we were driving, and she had on her satellite radio MSNBC Joy Reid, and I'm like, ah, I see now. And so I am just so happy that this bitch is gone. Like, I've seen some clips of her. Like, there's been some clip compilations of her over the years, and she's just one of the most disgustingly hateful individuals in all of news. It's like it's to an absolutely ludicrous and frankly unhinged degree. Like, some of the
Well,
things
and
she
let's
says.
let's also let's also be honest. That title for the mainstream media is a title with a lot of competition because they're all to varying degrees insufferable twats.
I mean, yes, but like, she's like, she's also racist against white people, and it's not just in like, it's not just a matter of being pro-black. She's actively anti-white, and if you're a principled person, then racism is bad no matter who you're targeting. Which, based on the things she says, she's clearly not a principled person. And if she had any semblance of self-awareness or any semblance of rational thought, she would have, reflected on the things she said and why the Democrats lost so fucking handily, despite the fact that most of the mainstream media was shilling for them during the entire election cycle. But no, she just continued on with this ridiculous and unhinged ranting and raving, calling Trump a dictator, telling him that he's serving Elon Musk, and now she's fucking canned, and I'm freaking
It
happy.
it it reminds me of that one the like post election clip where the like blonde woman was quietly trying to explain to the one professor looking dude, these are all the practical like on the ground reasons why people like Trump, and then the guy sitting across from her just goes, I can't believe that, and I refuse to believe that because how could someone actually prefer Trump to us? And it's like it, she just explained to you how and why that's possible, and you literally went, "That is not reality because I don't wish it to be," over and over again.
Well, that's a good thing about the truth. It doesn't require you to believe it.
Yeah,
Like,
reality will remain reality regardless of whether you choose to engage with that reality or not. Which is why those of us with intellectual honesty, even those of us who are on the other side politically, came to the correct conclusion a long time ago because, well, reality is how reality is, regardless of how we want it to be.
Yeah, until there's this video of her online after she got fired, crying about losing her show, and she goes like, "Yo, my show had value." And I'm like, "No, I fucking didn't. That's why you're fucking gone because you're a liar and an idiot and a fucking racist." Like, God, like Dalton, you have no idea how fucking embarrassing this woman is as a black person.
I I can see where you're coming from, because there's a lot of very gay people who also make me go, this is it's like the Hotel Transylvania clip. This is how we're represented. Unbelievable. Like it's almost enough to make me like disavow my own sexuality. But again, because I have self-awareness and can actually admit who I am and what I am, I don't do that because I'm not a cowardly son of a bitch. Unlike apparently people who work for the fucking three-letter agencies in today's day and age. Oh my fucking god.
Oh, they don't work with them anymore. But God, I am like this news had me happy for like 2 days.
Yeah, I remember you posted a clip about her getting fired, and you were just like, I have never been happier, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. I can understand why you draw the line there. It's it's like when I saw the "We Will Convert Your Children" song for the first time, and I just immediately wanted to murder every single last person who was involved in that stupid thing. Ah.
Yeah. So do you now understand why I named this episode what I did?
Yeah, again, the periodic reminder: what is good in life is crushing your enemies, seeing the driven before you, and hearing the limitations of the through which HR middle management women.
Yeah, and to bring this all back around, well, not really back around, but actually yes, back around to where basically all of this started. Because according to, I believe it was Salon, Gamergate is responsible
Oh
for
God,
all
yes,
of
I
this.
thought. Oh my God, yes, I thought. Which, okay, despite the paranoid moralistic absurdity that is that statement, they are right. They're just not right in the way they want to be right, because they think that Gamergate was some sort of fascist coup, and therefore that it is patient zero for all this shit. In reality, what Gamergate was and is irreverence in the face of moralistic overbearing authority, and that is what led to the rise of people like Trump. Because they're right in that Gamergate and movements like Gamergate were instrumental in the creation of this movement. That they're just wrong in what they diagnose Gamergate to have been. And if they ever came to the realization of just how wrong they were about Gamergate, they might have their "are we the baddies" moment. Because the second the, the second the load bearing linchpin of Gamergate being some sort of fascist coup or misogynist harassment campaign falls out of their worldview, they're going to realize, wait, Gamergate was right all along and we were the assholes. To which my response will be, of course, fucking yes, we've told you for a literal goddamn decade. Like, I've been saying this since like 2013. You don't accurately diagnose what this movement is. And the second you do, you're going to realize that you were the assholes all along, you cunts.
Yeah, for 10 years. Like, I remember when I first, actually, I remember when I first was exposed to this kind of thing. Like, I didn't really understand what I was hearing because, like, obviously, a lot of this shit is freaking so absurd that you don't actually understand like the will underpinning all of it. I
Well,
remember I
yeah,
was
and
like,
it's
oh,
buried under 47 layers of philosophical woo and academic jargon to begin with. I had the benefit of philosophy was actually my major around this time, so I knew what the arguments were. The arguments were just bullshit, and so I was able to more like more itemize all the ways in which the ideology is bullshit from the beginning.
yeah. Gamergate was like what 10 years ago almost.
12.
Ah,
Started
12.
started in like mid 2013 through like 2015 or thereabouts. So 12 years ago.
Yeah.
If we're going
Jesus.
from the start of it to now.
Jesus.
And it's taken us
12.
12 years to even get this far, which in and of itself is somewhat jarring. Because
But
you would think that you shouldn't ideologically purify and co-opt art is a normal, reasonable position, but it's taken us 12 years to even get this far. And they wonder why we're slightly vindictive about all this shit. Considering that there were and are literal articles where friends of ours, I'm thinking particularly of Eglantine, were called fascists in like mainstream media journalism publications.
yeah, I
The only
remember.
reason why we weren't included in those articles, I think, is because most people don't know who we are. But
Yeah, we.
that being said, friends of ours and people that we know personally were taxed as fascists, and no, it is not so, and has never been so. And the second you realize just how wrong you were in diagnosing this problem, is the second you realize how you were the bad guys all along. You got
Yeah. There's also the speaking of comic state, there was the announcement about Diamond.
again, vindication. Vindication is good.
Yeah. So Diamond Comics distributors filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in January 2025. All these W's coming at the exact same time. We warned them. We warned them for fucking years, and they didn't listen. So
And sadly enough, had they just acquiesced to the reasonable criticisms that we had back in 2013 through 2015, all of this could have been avoided. All of it. If they had listened to the people screaming at the top of their lungs, "No, we're not fascist, you morons. We are people who are irreverent in the face of moralistic authoritarianism." It just so happens that this time the moralistic authoritarianism is coming from the left. We could have avoided this, because I will remind everyone that Sargon of Akkad, Carl Benjamin, used to be the poster child for Gen X irreverence and classical liberalism. But after a decade of getting called the fascist and the traditionalist anyway, he started becoming a traditionalist.
yeah, still not a fascist, but definitely more traditional.
Right,
And
but point being, at the very least, the like slow wearing down of people who were on your side or adjacent to your side once upon a not so very long ago, you are making them into the very enemies that you wanted them not to be in the first place. It, if you if Kevin Logan and Christy Winters had acknowledged that Carl was the classical liberal he always claimed to be, we could have avoided this whole tradcon by way of dadism arc he's on. But you didn't. You kept calling him a traditionalist and a fascist and everything else, and a ethno supremacist over and over again for a decade, until he finally went, "Is being a traditionalist and an ethnocentrist really that bad?" And now here we are.
well, I think it also has a lot to do with the state of the UK because he's seeing his country basically suffer from a lot of the things that we're suffering from, but worse, and there appears to be no relief in sight for the near future.
Yeah, and that too could have been avoided had Theresa May actually lived up to her obligations under Brexit, and then Boris Johnson continued them. This wouldn't have been necessary, because Carl wanted to be a like conservative Tory stan for the early years of Brexit, and only after the Tories spit on him and literally demonized him when he ran for MP did he finally go, "You know what, fuck this. I'm doing my own thing, and you all can fucking burn." It's
Yeah,
it's the same thing with us. Like, I am and remain a two-time Bernie bro whose second and third choices were Tulsi and Yang. and yet I get called internalized homophobe, I get called ableist, I get called every evil thing under the sun and several things not under the sun, and yet people are surprised that therefore a bunch of my friends tend to be more conservative than me. When the left says, fuck you, we don't want you, there's only so many times you can argue with them over it before you just go, well, all right, fine. If the left doesn't want me, I'll go hang out with the right wingers. It's fine.
Well, the thing for me is that I was a Democrat, but I hadn't paid attention to politics for a very long time. And so when things started to invade my hobbies, like comics, video games, things like that, it got to a point where I couldn't ignore it anymore. And so I, looked my head up and looked around at what was happening. Was like, the fuck is wrong with you people? And so, like, I looked over at the opposition, and what they were saying was much, much more reasonable. And it was also aligning with a lot of the things that I had been, a lot of the values and things that I'd been raised as, because a lot of black people are raised conservatively, they just don't vote conservatively.
Mm-hmm.
And so, doing let these people align more with what I'd been raised and taught, and I looked at what was going on with the Democrats and left wing, and they just seemed to be losing their mind on this really unhinged shit that nobody would have agreed with like 5, 10 years ago. At that point, it was 5, 10 years ago. Now it's more like 15 years ago.
Right.
But like they basically gave me no other choice.
Again, when the left says we don't want you, get the fuck out, there's only so many times you can argue with them over that point before you're like, okay, fine, I'm going. Have fun appealing to even fewer people. And another great example. I've heard recently people wanting to astroturf Hassan Piker is the Joe Rogan of the left, and me and every other sane person in the world went, I'm sorry, are you unaware that Joe Rogan is left wing? Like, Joe Rogan has been like a comedian and a stoner and a lover of like fighting and heavy metal and stuff for years. That used to be like stereotypical hallmarks of a left winger back in the day, back in the like 90s and early 2000s when we were growing up. That was the left wing stereotype, was the like edgy lover of irreverence and lover of free speech. Used to be the poster child of the left. And then the left got institutional power and decided actually being moralistic and authoritarian is good as long as we're the ones who do it. And all of us who actually were principled in our desire for irreverence in the face of authority and fucking the institutions went, hold on, I joined the left because the left was the party of free speech and individualism, and now the left is the party of authoritarian moralism, which was the exact thing that I didn't like about the right wing 5 seconds ago.
Yeah, actually, regarding that, there was a clip from Joe Rogan where he played another clip from Kamala Harris, where she literally says that um, social media and the internet is allowing people to speak without
Regulation
limitation.
and oversight.
Yeah, regulation and oversight, and that has to be stopped. And Joe Rogan's like, yeah, this bitch had to lose. She had to fucking lose. Like, what the fuck is that?
What that is the party that's not in power finds it very easy to be libertarian. But some people, when they get in power, forget about their libertarian leanings or just conflate their libertarian leanings with ideological purity spiraling rather than anything resembling principled behavior. And that's why so many gay people went from we just want to live and let live and, love our significant others in peace to we will convert your children unironically after all. And
I think it's
all of
I
those
think
of
it
us
was
that
never
remained principled went, this is literally the thing that the traditionalists used to tell people we would do if we got in power, and now y'all are doing it. Do you have any idea how destructive this is?
I honestly don't think that it was libertarian values. I think that for many of them, it was just a mask that they wore in order to gain power. And
Yeah,
for
there were some people who were concealing their power levels. The problem is that as a result, those of us who actually meant it and who are and remain consistent in our love of irreverence in the face of authority and screwing around with moralistic authoritarianism, we now have to deal with the fact that all of those people were either lying or stupid and unprincipled. And now, when I say things that I have always believed, a bunch of people go, well, yeah, but obviously you're just saying that to make yourself look good. And I'm like, no, you can you can search my internet history. This is a thing I've been consistent on, as demonstrated by the fact that when the party in power bent the other way, I bent away from them. Like, and this is the problem. When the traditionalists can say, well, we told you that this was going to turn into pedophilia advocacy, and then they can point at cases where it literally did become we will convert your children. It makes it harder for those of us who actually meant it in the 90s and early 2000s, who actually meant that yes, we want irreverence in the face of any given authority. Yes, we want all authoritarian moralism to get fucked. Yes, we actually want populism and libertarianism and to be left the fuck alone and or given the freedom to express ourselves however we want in the most harmless and banal ways possible. When there are people who consider it a moral virtue to embrace the negative stereotype of the last moral order, it only makes those people who were paranoid about the freedom of expression of people they don't like seem all the more legitimate. When what made the gay movement and the race movement and all those other movements successful in the 90s was it finally got through the average normie person's head that when the traditionalists say, well, gay people are just pedophiles, you give them an inch and they'll become pedophile activists. What made the 90s so successful for gay people was it got through the normie's head that those people are just paranoid moralists and they can get fucked. But when a bunch of people who were gay activists turn around and go, okay, we have the power in the institutions now, so it is actually time to go full tilt map advocacy. Um, that only lets the traditionalist paranoid fucker say, "I told you so."
yeah, it's like Warhammer 40,000, where like say this group of people want to protest against the planetary governor because they're living under very like oppressive regime, and so the organizers of the protest may actually have a point and just want to get the boot off their neck, but the people behind them in the crowd cheering with them are secretly chaos cultists.
And that's the argument that the governor makes when they're you know putting down the protests. Well, if we give them an inch, they will convert to chaos, and then we'll be doomed. And then the chaos cultists come along and go, actually, yes, embracing chaos fully is the best way to screw them over. Womp 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 womp.
And then the Space Marines drop pod in and kill everyone.
And this entire thing could have been avoided had the people with principles just gone, no, fuck you, we're not embracing the chaos. No, fuck you, we meant it when we said that gay people are not pedophiles and that pedophile activism is shit, and so on. But unfortunately, the more people who embrace the stereotype and even consider it a moral virtue to embrace the stereotype, the more those paranoid traditionalists are going to have leverage to go, see, we told you so, we told you this is what it would become. And meanwhile, people like me and people like Mr. E and people like all the rest of us, all those of us who are actually diverse in identity, despite what the games journals will tell you, we are the casualties because you know we literally just wanted to embrace the good things about life, and now we can't because a bunch of people who claimed to be on our side keep making it worse. the BLM activist who goes full Malcolm X, the we will convert your children people, the actually men should be second-class citizens and should be chemically castrated feminists and so on. You either have to purge these people from your midst as publicly and viscerally as you can, or you're going to wind up giving legitimacy to the very same people that you thought were crazy 5 seconds ago.
All right, let's wrap this up. Do you have any final words about our enemies being toppled one by one like dominoes?
Keep it going. Keep it going until it's like that scene from V for Fuck You Vendetta. Like I want all of the dominoes, all of them. Burn the normative institutions to the ground and make better ones in the ashes. God damn it! I don't care.
Yes.
I don't care if it pisses off Dev. He needs to understand that populism and libertarianism are good, and that normative institutionalism and the managerial bureaucracy are bad.
Yes. Now, if only Tom Homan can arrest AOC for talking illegal immigrants, this would be the greatest administration.
Literally elected congresswoman decides to give illegal pointers on how to avoid the law. Oh my fucking god! I love the timeline we're in. It's taken fucking 12 years to get here, and that in and of itself is stupid and evil. But at least in the interim, we met, for example.
Yeah.
If the left had actually, remained principled and didn't give us a reason to rally against them, we wouldn't have met. So, silver linings, folks.
Yep. All right, everybody. I've been Mystery.
I've been Dalton Mortimer, the Authenticator, Deus Volt, and we will see y'all next time. Cheers, guys.
Goodbye, everybody.